Tonight, the surprise move from President Biden, 1,500 active duty troops headed to the southern border. The military reinforcements coming as cities along the border deal with a record surge of migrants. More than 90,000 people crossing into the U.S. in the last 10 days alone. And that number expected to soar as the COVID-era immigration policy, Title 42, comes to an end. Tonight, the mayor of Laredo, already under a state of emergency, joins Top Story Live, how his border city is bracing for the incoming wave. Also breaking at this hour, Buckingham Palace on lockdown. A man threw shotgun cartridges through the palace gates. Police then carried out a controlled explosion. Security now on high alert with the coronation of King Charles just 4 days away. Killer on the loose, authorities urgently searching for the man accused of shooting and killing 5 people after he was asked to stop firing an AR-15 in his front yard. New questions tonight about why it took so long for police to arrive on the scene. What 911 allegedly told one of the victims as he was hiding from the gunman in a closet. President Biden's son Hunter appearing before a judge in Arkansas in a contentious child support case, why the mother of one of his children is demanding he turn over his financial records, and what it could mean for his other ongoing legal battles. Plus, Hollywood on strike, thousands of screenwriters leaving the writing room and joining the picket line after their union and major studios failed to reach a deal. The popular shows that have already gone dark, and which series could be affected next. And the scary moment for an elementary school principal, the moment he tried to unlock a dumpster but came face to face with a black bear. Top Story starts right now. And good evening. We begin Top Story tonight with the deepening crisis at our southern border. Several cities declaring a state of emergency as border facilities already pushed to their limits brace for a new surge of migrants. In a sign of how dire the situation could become, President Biden today announcing he will send 1,500 active duty troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. Those troops will join the roughly 2,500 National Guard troops already stationed in that region. And images like these, take a look, are why reinforcements have been called in. Thousands of migrants attempting to cross the border every single day. More than 90,000 crossings reported in just the last 10 days. And officials warn this is just the tip of the iceberg. All of this coming to a head because of the end of the COVID-era policy known as Title 42, the policy which was enacted as a public health measure during the Trump administration and the pandemic. It was designed to curb, quote, mass uncontrolled cross-border movement during the pandemic, but in practice it was used to override existing immigration laws and justify the expulsion of more than 2 million. That policy now set to expire on May 11th. In addition to those troops that are making their way south, law enforcement in American cities all along the border are preparing for the surge as well. Agents in Laredo, you see them here participating in drills and demonstrations along the border as they brace for the next wave. Laredo, one of 3 cities in Texas that have already made emergency declarations. In a moment, we'll be joined live by the mayor of that city to walk us through what he has seen on the ground now and how his city is preparing for the weeks to come. But first, NBC's Valerie Castro leads us off with those dramatic images already coming in.
Tonight, the scenes of pure desperation growing on the border. Migrants grasping for what food and supplies they can get through the border wall in El Paso. They're seeking shelter, food, and safety. Some have stories of horror they left behind. This mother saying, "We almost got raped in San Pedro, Mexico, and that's why the only thing I want is to cross with my daughters." As Title 42, the COVID-era restriction that has stopped asylum seekers for years, nears its end on May 11th, the surge may already be starting. Border officials saying 15,000 migrants crossed into Brownsville, Texas last week, a massive increase from early April.
I am declaring a state of emergency in our community.
3 cities in Texas so far have declared states of emergency, preparing for the end of the law: El Paso, Brownsville, and Laredo. Migrants already seen sleeping on the streets in droves in El Paso. This woman describing how she spends her night on nothing but cardboard. Migrants along the San Diego border also suffering through sleepless nights.
Tired, exhausted, nowhere to sleep, no blankets, nothing.
Trying to stay warm by fires. Many hoping to get to a massive migrant processing facility like this one. The Customs and Border Protection Commissioner testifying he anticipates 10,000 people a day to cross the border after the ban expires. To assist with the expected surge, the Biden administration preparing plans to send an additional 1,500 active duty troops to back up CBP. The administration saying they will be performing administrative duties and warehouse support.
They will not be performing law enforcement functions or interacting with immigrants or migrants.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas under increasing pressure with Title 42 expiring, pushing back on criticisms that both he and the administration are failing when it comes to the border.
Within the constraints of a broken immigration system, we are doing so much.
Speaking with NBC's Chuck Todd about the government's strategy.
Cut out the ruthless smugglers, deliver lawful pathways so people can access humanitarian relief without having to take the dangerous journey.
All right, Valerie Castro joins us live tonight from our New York studios. So, Valerie, I want to go back to what we heard from the press secretary there. The Biden administration sending those additional 1,500 troops to the border to support the 2,500 that are already there, backing up CBP. They are active duty military personnel, but what I'm reading and seeing is that they're actually not even going to have weapons. So what are they going to be doing down there?
Tom, they will strictly be there to provide support to Border Patrol with tasks like administrative duties and warehouse support. They will not be interacting with migrants or anyone in DHS custody. So the idea is that this will free up Customs and Border Protection agents to continue with their law enforcement roles. This deployment is for 90 days, and we'll see how the situation on the ground develops as Title 42 is lifted. Tom?
Yeah, we know those CBP agents do need some relief at the border. Do we have a sense of how many people are waiting all along the border and that may possibly try to rush that border when Title 42 expires?
Tom, there are tens of thousands of people spread out across various cities in Mexico. The most recent numbers from NBC News are from last week. About 17,000 migrants are waiting in Reynosa. That's across the border from McAllen, Texas. That's according to a shelter operator there that's endorsed by the local government. In Juarez, there are as many as 35,000 people waiting, according to the El Paso deputy city manager, but that number is said to be growing daily. Tom?
More than 50,000 just in those two places alone. All right, Valerie, we appreciate it. Cities across the southern border already overwhelmed by the influx of migrants calling for help before the end of Title 42. I'm grateful tonight to be joined by Laredo, Texas's mayor, Dr. Victor Trevino, who made a declaration of disaster for his city. Mayor, thank you so much for joining Top Story tonight. I guess my first question to you is, when you heard the news of the 1,500 additional troops, what did you think, and are any of those troops coming to your town?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. And first of all, I did sign the declaration of disaster because the city of Laredo does not have the financial resources to absorb the costs associated with helping these migrants that are crossing over. And any help is appreciated. And as a doctor, I act proactively to prevent disease, and this is a prevention measure from us being overwhelmed. So I think it may be too late when we have the migrants in our street with no resources to get them home. So these are the things we're looking at.
Okay. The question I asked you was about the troops. What did you think when you heard that the troops were coming in, and are any troops headed to your town?
Well, if the troops are going to aid the Border Patrol, I think that's good help we can have here. Because, like I said, we don't have the resources to do any of the mitigation here. And that's something we have to think about, but I think it's a good idea that they got sent in.
Have you been informed that they're coming to your area? Has anybody from the White House called you, or the Department of Homeland Security been in contact with your office?
No, this is the first I hear about it. I'm not aware of it, but like you say, it's something that has been done as of today. So this is something we'll be expecting.
How would you describe your relationship and the communication? I know you've been mayor since about 2022. How has the communication been during this sort of border crisis?
There's a lot of fluid things happening. The amount of migrants are increasing. We don't have the large amount of migrants that the other borders and the southern border has. We have a very good Border Patrol presence here, and we have a good security in the city of Laredo. But because the migrants will be transferred to Laredo, we are a processing center. We've been told that other areas are going to decompress their community of migrants. So we will be receiving all those migrants here in Laredo. And, of course, we don't have the resources to do it. That is a preoccupation.
May 11th is next Thursday. What are you predicting is going to happen in Laredo, in other border towns after Thursday?
that is something that is to be seen, but we know there's about 40,000 migrants on standby in Mexico waiting for this Title 42 to expire. And then that is something that is worrisome, because then we would totally be overwhelmed if we get all these transfers here in Laredo and, of course, the southern border. We're having family units being sent in, and we know that these are the ones that are going to be sent our way.
What you're seeing, and I don't know if you could see Valerie's report just before you came on, but one of the things that struck me is something we've been reporting on, but it was sort of very striking in her story. You saw migrants from all over the world, it looked like, that are on the Mexico border. We are not just talking about Latin America anymore, right? We're talking about the entire globe is trying to get into America through the southern border right now. I'm sure this is something you've experienced before. As you mentioned, you're a doctor. I can see you're doing this interview from a clinic tonight, which I appreciate. What is your biggest concern as a healthcare professional and now a small-town mayor on the border?
Well, we're medically underserved, and we've been medically underserved for decades. Our resources are limited. We don't have the personnel to man the hospitals, so we are limited in opening rooms and opening hospitals. We were impacted in this way during the pandemic, and we saw that firsthand, how it affected us. And then in this situation where we're going to have a migrants being brought in from other places, the worry is that our hospitals may not be able to handle all this buildup of migrants.
What do you want? Is there anything you need from the president, from the White House, DHS, that you'd like to get out there?
Well, we know that we're the #1 overall port in the country, so we can't afford to have our commercials lanes be interrupted because we're overwhelmed by migrants. And this will impact our local community and the rest of the country, because Laredo is the major port of the United States. So I would be asking the president to assist us with the resources so we can weather this influx of the expected migrants and the transfer that we're going to have.
Mayor, that's an important point, and people may not understand exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about a commercial traffic lane from Mexico through your town?
We have multiple traffic lanes. We're the largest port in the United States. 40% of all the goods from Mexico come through Laredo. So this represents millions and billions of dollars. We have a World Trade Bridge that has multiple lanes and multiple 18-wheelers across on a daily basis, up to 14,000 18-wheelers a day. And that could be interrupted if we have this migrant crisis, all the migrants being brought to Laredo.
Mayor, we hope that really doesn't happen, but we will stay monitoring it. We'll be reporting on it throughout this week and next week. We thank you for your time. We know you are very busy. Thank you. All right. We want to head overseas now to some breaking news we're following out of London, switching gears now in a major way, where police have arrested a man who is suspected of tossing suspicious items on the grounds of Buckingham Palace just days before the coronation of King Charles. Kelly Cobiella joins us now live from Buckingham Palace. Kelly, thanks so much for being on Top Story tonight. I do want to ask you, this is obviously a big deal. All eyes are on Buckingham Palace and the royals, of course, of what's happening in a few days. Tell us about what happened tonight.
Yeah, Tom, so this happened as they were preparing for a dress rehearsal for the coronation procession here tonight. It was about 7 o'clock local time when police say a man approached the palace gates here, and they said that they had to arrest him for carrying what they suspected was a weapon. Police also say that he threw a number of objects into palace grounds, objects that they believe were shotgun cartridges, and that he had a suspicious bag as well, which was destroyed by a controlled explosion. Now, they do say this man is now under arrest. They're following up, and they also say that they do not think that this is terrorism related. Tom.
Well, that's reassuring at this hour. And was the king there, the queen consort? Were they at Buckingham Palace?
So Buckingham Palace confirmed that both the king and queen consort were not here at the time, but, it does raise security concerns ahead of the coronation. You're talking about 100 heads of state, 200 representatives from more than 200 countries, including First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, who will be leading the American delegation here. And we expect to have a security briefing from the Metropolitan Police tomorrow regarding this entire security operation for the coronation. But yeah, just 4 days to go, a concerning incident here at Buckingham Palace. As you can see, Tom, that dress rehearsal did go on as planned. It's happening just behind us.
All right. And the eyes of the world will be on London for sure. Kelly, we thank you for being live for us tonight. Now back here at home to the latest on that urgent search for an alleged killer in Texas that left 5 people dead. Law enforcement says it's analyzing hundreds of pieces of information in the ongoing manhunt. Priscilla Thompson tonight with more on the search efforts and what we're learning from the families of those victims.
The pain felt by the victims' families is still raw. Jesky Castillo raced to the crime scene Friday night and learned that her 21-year-old sister, Diana Velasquez Alvarado, was among the 5 shot and killed after authorities say a neighbor was asked to stop firing his AR-15 rifle late at night. Diana's husband, who survived the massacre, said his wife died a warrior, shielding children from the gunfire. In Honduras, the family of 31-year-old Julissa Molina Rivera is now fighting to bring her kids and her remains back home. As classmates of 9-year-old Daniel Enrique Lasso in Cleveland are struggling to say goodbye.
We used to play soccer, at the bus stop, and he used to be good at goalie, and I liked him on my team.
The FBI says law enforcement is analyzing hundreds of pieces of information related to the shooting. But tonight, there is still no sign of the man accused of these murders, other than these signs, asking anyone with information to come forward.
All right, Priscilla Thompson joins us now live from Cleveland, Texas. Priscilla, you've learned from the FBI that they're now expanding their search. I mean, they have to, right?
Yeah, that's right, Tom. In addition to working with more than a dozen law enforcement agencies across the state, they're working with other law enforcement across the country and also officials across the border. They say they are leaving no stone unturned and continuing to urge anyone with information to come forward. Tom?
Yeah, Priscilla, before you go, I know there's been growing questions about the police response time in this case to the shooting, but we're also talking about a rural area, to be fair, right?
Right. So one of the survivors has said that he was making calls as this shooting was going on, and deputies or 911 responders were telling him that deputies were already there, but police did not arrive until the suspect had already fled. And the FBI and the Sheriff's Department have not responded to our questions specifically about response time. But we know that this is a very rural area. The sheriff has told the Associated Press that he has 3 deputies to cover this 700 square mile area. And I can tell you from being at the crime scene that it's about 30 minutes from the Sheriff's Department. So still a lot of questions about what may have happened there with the response time as they're dealing with this very large area with a limited number of law enforcement. Tom?
All right, Priscilla Thompson for us. Priscilla, we appreciate it. Now to the civil trial against former President Trump. Writer and accuser E. Jean Carroll's lawyers now calling new witnesses to the stand to support her claims that Trump raped her back in the 1990s. Trump denies the accusations. NBC's Ron Allen has been following the case and joins us now from outside the U.S. District Courthouse.
The pace of the trial is picking up. More witnesses, what you might think of as backup witnesses, called by E. Jean Carroll's attorneys to support, bolster, corroborate various aspects of her account of what allegedly happened. Beginning with her close friend, Lisa Birnbach, who Carroll says she called minutes after the alleged incident happened. And Birnbach supported that story, saying that the call happened around 5 o'clock when she was having dinner with her children. And she pinpointed the time of this happening back to the spring of 1996, just after she had interviewed Donald Trump, she said, for an article down at Mar-a-Lago at his home in Florida. So there was some familiarity there. We also heard from a woman named Jessica Leeds, who's now an 81-year-old retired business person, who back in 1979 was on a plane, she says, 37 years old, a businesswoman on a trip, and she was seated next to Donald Trump, she says, and that he started groping her, trying to kiss her and put his hand underneath her dress, an allegation that Mr. Trump, like all these allegations, denies. She was put there on the witness stand by Carol's attorneys to try and convince the jury that there's been a pattern, a series of attacks here. Plaintiff's attorneys, Carol's attorneys, expect to wrap up their testimony by Thursday or so. The defense says they will put on a doctor to refute some of these allegations. They confirmed that Mr. Trump will not testify, something that was something up in the air. The judge wanted to know mainly for security considerations, but he will not be testifying, we now know. And we expect now that this entire trial, this defamation and battery case, could wrap up sometime early next week. Now back to you.
Yeah, that's one of the big headlines there, Ron. Thank you, that Trump will not testify. Now to another courtroom in Arkansas this time. Hunter Biden appearing yesterday before a judge for a hearing in an ongoing child support case. An Arkansas woman who is the mother to one of Hunter's children is alleging that the son of the president is ignoring court orders requiring him to turn over information on his finances and withholding information important to their paternity suit. I want to bring in NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian, who joins us now from D.C. And Ken, we should, really be completely open and honest with our audience here. This is sort of a hearing about child payments and what's going on in this dispute, but it's also, we should say, that the woman at the center of this case, the mother to the child of Hunter Biden, also has some lawyers who have been very active and very outgoing in the public as well.
Absolutely, Tom. Well said. But the reason this court hearing happened today is actually because Hunter Biden has asked the judge to reduce his child support commitments to this woman because of what his lawyers are calling a change in his financial circumstances. And what we learned today from Hunter's lawyer, Abby Lowell, well-known Washington litigator, is that Hunter Biden has been paying this woman and their daughter $20,000 a month for a total of $750,000. But in the course of asking the judge to reduce that, of course, she's opposing this and she's demanding certain information about Hunter Biden's finances, including more details about his tax returns and including information about some paintings he sold. You'll recall the White House set up a system under which the buyers of his paintings would be anonymous both to him and to the White House, so there couldn't be allegations of influence peddling. Well, the woman and her daughter and their lawyers want more information about that. And the judge ruled today that they are entitled to more information from Hunter Biden, that he has to answer a series of written questions and sit for a sworn deposition, Tom.
Yeah, the judge actually sort of admonished the Hunter Biden side of this, correct? Saying that they weren't being completely forthcoming with some of the financial transactions here, right? But I guess the case here for Hunter and the reasons why him and his attorney are concerned is that it could open an entire can of worms, which you alluded to.
Yeah, that's right. She did. She actually said, you can't just give us these voluminous tax returns. You have to answer the specific questions that the other side needs about finances. And in terms of the timetable here, the judge has ordered Hunter Biden to answer these questions by May 12th and then sit for a deposition sometime in mid-June. And then, Tom, if the two parties can't come to an agreement, there will be a trial on this issue, perhaps the best attended trial over child support payments in modern American history, Tom.
So, Ken, I know, not to put you on the spot here, but that deposition, that is something that will the public eventually see?
I believe so. Generally, these kinds of things are made public either as part of the case or they become part of the court file. Certainly, this woman and her lawyers will be pushing to make it public because that's been their consistent stance throughout this case, is to get everything out there. There may be some things that Hunter Biden's lawyers will try to keep private, and then the judge will have to decide, Tom.
Yeah, Ken Delanian, we appreciate it. I hit you with some of the legal questions there. We have Danny Savalos right up after you. He's gonna help us out here. As I mentioned, Danny, our NBC News legal analyst, is joining Top Story live tonight on this. So, Danny, this is obviously a paternity case, right? But this is not very common because so many people are watching this case, including Republicans and Democrats, and Republicans who've wanted to dig into the finances of Hunter Biden for a long time. Talk to me about the impact of this case.
Contempt of support court. It is a very strange area of the law. I've probably handled about 100 of these cases early in my career, and this is what's happening procedurally. There is a risk of going to jail, but it's not a criminal case. Instead, the contemner, often this court is called, and I don't use this phrase, deadbeat dad court, often the contemner is in violation of an order, a court order to make monthly payments. And he's obviously got good attorneys who are advising him, look, if you are not making as much money as you used to, you better go to court and argue for a change of circumstances, because that monthly amount will keep running whether or not you are able to pay it, unless you ask the court for a lesser amount. This goes on all the time in courthouses in all the states, all across America, and every day, contemnors, mostly 98% fathers, are sent to jail without a criminal case, but rather because they're essentially in contempt of court. This just happens to be a very high-profile version of something that happens hundreds, if not thousands of times a day.
So Danny, explain this to me, because I'm a little confused here. Hunter Biden is arguing he's making less money, and that's why he wants to pay less?
Exactly right. And it's the right thing to do legally, because a lot of times dads will say, hey, I'm not making as much money, so I can't make my payments. And they think they can roll into court and just say, hey, judge, I just don't have any money. How can you give me a hard time if I lost my job and I don't have money to make the payments? Well, it's incumbent upon that contemnor, that father, to come into court and say, hey, judge, I need a new order. I need a modification because of change of circumstances. And then you can get it reduced to something minimal. I mean, I have seen monthly payments of like $10, $20. I mean, a lot of people are out of work. One thing I will tell you, though, I learned very quickly that it is one thing to simply roll into court and say, I have no money. It's another thing to prove it, because what I've found is that as we walk through life every day, we're all spending some amount of money that can be tracked, that can be determined, and that's why the mother's lawyers are smartly asking for more discovery, more evidence, because you simply can't take someone's word for it that, hey, I just don't have any money.
Well, Danny, the other thing is, I mean, as we're watching the video of Hunter Biden, obviously he has a lot of security, Secret Service, if you will, but he's rolling in with an entourage, and he has a pretty crack legal team, from what I understand. He has to be paying those attorneys as well, correct?
You got it. You've hit on it. Exactly. You're thinking like a judge, Tom, because one of the first things a judge will do is get somebody on the record and say, so you say you have no money. Do you have a cell phone? Do you have a car? Who's making those payments? And then you find pretty quickly that the whole I have $0 argument will fall apart. And you're exactly right. In the case of Hunter Biden, this is somebody that I think a judge could probably conclude has a number of expenses that he's paying. Some may be essential, some maybe not so essential. I don't know if, for example, a Netflix or an HBO membership is something that is essential, that money couldn't be spent better on a child on your monthly payment. So, like I've said, I've been through, I mean, at least 100 of these hearings, and I learned very quickly something that really surprised me is that a smart judge and someone like you can quickly get to the bottom of whether or not it's true that somebody is claiming I have no money, whether or not that is in fact true, or they have money and they'd rather spend it on something they want to spend it on.
And then, Danny, you know, I guess the other question is that on the surface is the fight they're having in court. But then obviously what people in Washington want to know, people in the media want to know, if they start digging, right, Hunter Biden is facing other legal problems. Could this hurt him in that tax case that is being investigated right now by the Department of Justice and the IRS?
It could. Generally speaking, if this is in family court, most family court proceedings will be sealed or non-public the way a criminal trial or something else would be public. So it's possible this could come back to haunt Hunter Biden. And by the way, whether or not they are sealed or private or closed hearings, the opposing counsel they're in there are people in there who are going to hear evidence that may be damaging to Hunter Biden. And from there, that information could bleed out into the legal atmosphere. And that could cause major problems for Hunter Biden. You're exactly right. If he wants to prove I make less money, he's going to have documents to show that. And those documents will establish that he's in a particular economic strata. And if he locks himself in, whether with testimony or documents, that could burn him in another case, in another investigation. So you are spot on there. This is a real risk for Hunter Biden. Most fathers who come to court like this don't have the risks and the concerns that Hunter Biden does.
All right, Danny Savalas for us tonight on Top Story. Danny, we really do appreciate it. Still ahead tonight, the campus stabbing spree. Did you hear about this? 3 people stabbed near UC Davis in less than a week. At least 2 of them killed, including a student. just weeks before graduation. The chilling warning tonight from police. Plus, the urgent manhunt for 2 escaped inmates in Virginia, one accused of killing a deputy, why his sister is now under arrest. And the elementary school principal opening a garbage and coming face to face with this. You're about to see it, yep, a black bear. Stay with us. Top story just getting started. All right, we're back now with new details tonight about the heartbreaking wedding night death of a new bride. Just hours after getting married, this is truly a horrific story. She and her husband were hit by an alleged drunk driver who's now being held without bond. Katie Beck has this one.
Hours after taking her wedding vows in Folly Beach, South Carolina, riding in a golf cart in her wedding dress beside the man she'd pledged to love for life, 34-year-old Samantha Miller lost her life in a deadly car accident.
She told Eric on the golf cart that she wanted this day to last forever.
New husband Eric Hutchinson is in stable condition after surgery. Also injured in the accident, the bride's brother-in-law and nephew. Hutchinson's mother writing, "I was handed Eric's wedding ring in a plastic bag at the hospital 5 hours after Sam placed it on his finger. Eric has lost the love of his life." Police say 25-year-old Jamie Lee Komorowski was driving 65 miles per hour, more than double the speed limit, when she struck the golf cart from behind, flipping it on its side.
Yeah, she was flying down the road and just slammed into the back of that cart.
Now charged with a DUI involving death and reckless homicide. The officer on scene reports that after attempts to revive Miller and treat victims, he asked Komorowski to rate her sobriety on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most impaired. She stated she was at an 8. In the meantime, the small beach community grieving.
The devastation of seeing her in that dress must have, I mean, that's going to probably stay with you.
Oh, absolutely. There's no real easy way to get over it.
Police say their investigation continues, including looking into Komorowski's cell phone records and where she was that night prior to the crash. Police also say they are awaiting her blood alcohol results. Tom?
Incredibly sad. Okay, Katie, thank you for that. Now to the deadly stabbings near UC Davis. There have been 3 attacks in under a week near the college campus, 2 of them fatal and 1 involving a student. Now local authorities have enlisted the FBI to help. The stabbings sending fear for safety throughout the school. NBC's Nyla Charles has the latest.
Tonight, students on high alert with authorities working around the clock in Davis, California. After 3 stabbings in less than a week, leave 2 dead and 1 in critical condition. Families in mourning.
He was on his way back home. He was literally 5 minutes away.
And students on edge.
You don't really feel safe anymore. And that's really, really disheartening, especially in a city like this where I was able to walk home every evening and feel safe.
A manhunt for a suspect still underway. The FBI is helping the local police department.
We're a small agency, detectives sleeping under their desks for a couple hours, staying away from their families.
Police say 2 of the incidents have similar suspect descriptions, but they don't have hard evidence linking the crimes together. All 3 assaults happening within 2 miles.
These were not stabbings where a person would normally be a victim of like a robbery or something like that, where there's just a couple of wounds. There were many and very significant knife wounds.
Davis is a quiet college town, and the county it's in usually sees fewer than 10 murders a year, according to state figures. At UC Davis, students are scared as they mourn one of their own.
I don't want any of my friends to be walking home late at night.
20-year-old UC Davis student Kareem Abu Najim was killed Saturday, just weeks from graduation. His father heartbroken, honoring his son's accomplishments.
He even far exceeded us. We're so proud of him, and we will miss him.
Just 2 days earlier, 50-year-old David Bro was killed in a nearby park. He was known as the Compassion Guy.
David was one of the most kindest, compassionate people you'll ever know. He literally set out in this world to do good.
In the latest stabbing, a 64-year-old woman is fighting for her life after getting stabbed inside a tent at a homeless encampment. Witnesses say they saw the suspect.
I said, "Hey, bruh." He starts walking normal. And then I said, "You look like the dude that they've been describing. I've been stabbing people." And he takes off. I started to take off after him. And then my wife's like, "Don't leave me here."
The brazen nature of the crimes shocking even police.
The suspect didn't seem to care that there were several witnesses who could identify him.
All right, Nyla Charles joins us live. Nyla, I have a lot of questions for you. The first being, what is law enforcement doing to keep the public safe while they search for a suspect? We are talking about a college campus, you know?
Tom, the police chief says in the area there will be extra officers patrolling with help of outside agencies. And they're telling the residents of that city to not walk alone at night. At UC Davis, the school actually just announced that all classes after 6 will be held remotely. And the chancellor of the school released a video statement giving his condolences and also reminding students of mental health resources available to them. Tom?
You know, Nyla, before you go, we heard that last witness in your story. Do you think that police have a sense of sort of who they're looking for and they'll eventually catch up to him?
Well, being that there's been a similar suspect description given, Tom, the police chief has said that they're looking for someone about 5'7", with lighter complexion. So there is a general description out there. However, they're still looking for hard evidence to officially link these cases together. Tom?
All right, Nyla Charles in front of or maybe behind a very noisy and trafficy Los Angeles for us tonight. Nyla, we appreciate it. Thank you for your help. When we come back, a nationwide recall of a pantry staple, the popular brand of flour that could contain salmonella. We'll tell you about it. The labels to look out for next. All right, back now with Top Stories news feed, and we begin with the urgent manhunt for 2 inmates in Virginia. Police say Alder Marin Sotelo and Bruce Callahan escaped from a jail about 70 miles west of Richmond over the weekend. Maureen Sotelo is accused of killing a North Carolina deputy, and his sister has reportedly been arrested for helping in that escape. Callahan is facing federal drug charges. The FBI, U.S. Marshals, and local law enforcement are all now involved in this search. Okay, consumer alert. General Mills is issuing a nationwide recall of 2 types of flour over salmonella concerns. The recall covers bleached and unbleached all-purpose flour. You've probably seen them, with a better if used by date of March 27th and 28th, 2024. The company says traces of salmonella was found in a sample of the 5-pound product. Again, 5 pound. So far, no illnesses have been reported. And a school principal in West Virginia getting quite the scare. This is so wild. Surveillance video shows the elementary school principal unlocking a garbage bin when he comes face to face with a black bear. The bear jumping out and luckily sprinting in the opposite direction. That bear can move. Wildlife officials had given the school a garbage lock due to prior issues with dumpster diving bears, and the lock has since been updated. Thankfully, no one was hurt. How did the bear get in there? Okay, now to the catastrophe on a highway in Illinois, one day after a blinding dust storm led to crashes that killed several people. The highway was ordered closed again today, and Jesse Kirsch has the new details.
Right here. This is like 30, 40 cars. Dude, that's more. Look at this car sideways.
After that catastrophic dust storm engulfed this stretch of an Illinois highway, tonight authorities warning drivers that traveling the same area will again be dangerous and possibly life-threatening. The National Weather Service alert coming as police ask the public for help identifying 2 of the 6 people killed in Monday's fiery crash.
Due to the severity of the crash and the fire, we are required to activate our crime scene services and traffic construction unit.
Investigators have few details to go on, but authorities have named one victim, 88-year-old Shirley Harper. Police say they've tentatively identified the other 3 victims killed in the pileup involving more than 70 vehicles along Interstate 55, a major artery between Chicago and St. Louis.
It was like driving into a whiteout.
Dave McLean says he survived the apocalyptic scenes, helping rescue a woman trapped between 2 semis.
Wheels of one semi against one door and wheels of the other semi against the other door.
The National Weather Service says the blinding dust came from freshly tilled and planted farm fields, propelled by winds gusting up to 45 miles per hour to create a dust storm.
This is just a terrible series of converging circumstances, very unusual, and a terrible loss of life.
Police reporting at least 37 injuries, some life-threatening, with at least one 2-year-old child among those hurt. One area hospital system says many people have been discharged as dozens recover from that blinding storm. You can hear powerful winds gusting again here tonight. Earlier, the National Weather Service warned people to prepare for 0 visibility, possibly telling people if that happens while they're driving to pull far off the road, put the car in park, and turn off the lights to hopefully avoid more scenes like this one. Tom?
Yeah, you see all that destruction behind you. Okay, Jesse, thank you. Now to top stories Global Watch, and a search underway for missing crew members after an oil tanker burst into flames off the coast of Malaysia. Thick plumes of smoke can be seen billowing from the ship. Malaysian officials say the tanker, look at that, was making its way from China to Singapore when it suddenly caught fire. 25 of the 28 people on board were rescued, but as of today, 3 still have not been found. Authorities are still investigating the cause of the fire. Okay, in Australia, they're cracking down on recreational vaping. The government announcing it will ban disposable e-cigarettes and tighten restrictions on non-prescription vapes. The new rules also requiring e-cigarettes to be sold only in pharmacies. There are some of the toughest measures taken against the tobacco industry in a decade and are all in an effort to combat the rise in teenage vaping. Okay, coming up, the writers on strike, thousands of film and TV writers walking off the job and onto the picket line after contract negotiations failed. The show's already impacted and going dark, and what it could mean for the future of TV in the age of streaming. Stay with us. We're back now with the major Hollywood strike already disrupting network late-night television after contract negotiations broke down. 11,000 writers walking off the job after midnight. NBC News national correspondent Miguel Almaguer has the latest from those picket lines.
What do we want? A fair contract! Off the job and onto the picket line from coast to coast. Tonight, more than 11,000 writers are plotting their next move after negotiators with the Writers Guild of America and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers failed to ink a last-minute deal.
We would like to not work for free.
All we want is to be able to support our families.
Shutting down some productions immediately. Tonight, network late-night talk shows and SNL say they'll air reruns. Daytime TV will likely follow, and if the strike stretches, there could be an impact on fall shows, even future blockbusters.
I don't want to be out of a job in 5 to 10 years.
Writers like Carrie Drake say their professions are at stake. For weeks, the union has been battling for streaming residuals, higher pay for services, and job protection, including from AI and writing programs like ChatGPT.
I think it's important to have humans telling stories about our human experience and not having stories generated by algorithms.
After a writer's strike 15 years ago, this is not unscripted territory. But with the proliferation of streaming, the WGA says giants like NBC Universal, the parent company of NBC News, Paramount, Netflix, Amazon, and Apple are creating untenable work conditions. They have closed the door on their labor force. The AMPTP says its offer included generous increases in compensation for writers.
That is not a serious negotiation. It's a joke. And that's part of the reason we're going on strike.
Tonight, a high-stakes Hollywood saga that's still being written.
With neither party returning to the negotiating table tonight, both sides want to reach a deal, but there's growing concern that this strike could actually last months, impacting that fall TV schedule. Tom, back to you.
All right, Miguel, we thank you for that. Both sides saying tonight they want to reach a deal, but writers concerned the strikes could last months. For more on day one of this strike, I want to bring in Jennifer Moss. She's a TV business writer at Variety. Jennifer, what's your sense? You think it's going to go on for months?
I really feel like that's hard to say right now. I mean, I hope that they'll get it done sooner, but it could potentially, especially because it seems like both sides aren't willing to budge on the sticking points here.
Yeah, and can you just go over again? I know we just saw Miguel's story here, but would you say that the two biggest things they're battling over right now?
Yeah, so among them, you know, streaming residuals is a big one, but what actually ended it last night was the WGA would like a minimum size for writers' rooms, and they would also like a minimum amount of weeks that you can be guaranteed work on the job that you were doing. And the studios said those were non-starters, and those were particular issues where they didn't offer any counteroffer.
What's going to happen with streaming, right? Because the information is all propriety right now, right? It's nobody is actually sharing that information. They're kind of keeping it to themselves. And when it's great news, like Netflix has a huge hit series, they'll put it out there. HBO Max, I mean, NBC News Now, top story, of course. But in a lot of ways, they keep that information to themselves. So how can writers figure out whether they have a hit show or not?
No, it's very true. I mean, Netflix does their weekly top 10 numbers, but those are released by them on a weekly basis. And beyond that top 10, we have no idea how anything else is doing. So it's hard to have a comparison beyond those. Amazon only released the Rings of Power numbers. That was the first numbers they've ever released, and they haven't given us anything since after that premiere. And then, even like HBO, which we can look at their linear numbers, we can only see what they want us to see for how it streams on HBO Max. And then we have Nielsen as a third party. That's kind of our only way of getting an idea across the board. But even that's not reliable because it's third party data, and we really need this first party data to make any kind of fair comparisons.
Yeah, real quick, because we're running out of time, I want to get your take on this. The country's saying goodbye to James Corden. Late night is changing. There's been a lot of articles written. Brian Steinberg from Variety wrote a great piece about just how the numbers just aren't making sense. The ad revenues are there, but it's just, I mean, the numbers are not, and the hosts are all making a lot of money. What do you think happens to the future of late night, and could this writer's strike have a big impact on maybe sending that sooner into the future than we think?
It's a real possibility at this point, but I think it will take a little more than the strike. But the strike will be one thing that adds to already that long list of what Brian Steinberg wrote about in that excellent article. It's a problem with all the things they already have going. This is probably going to push it to a serious conversation.
Jennifer Moss, we thank you so much for joining Top Story tonight. We really do appreciate it. And we thank you for watching Top Story tonight. I'm Tom Llamas from Chicago. Stay right there. More news on the way.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.